Hello, namaste, everybody. Welcome, welcome. And I have a very, very special guest today. His name is Will Sibley, and he wrote a book. It's called Race of a Lightworker, and I have it already a long time with me. And now is the time that we finally meet here on Zoom. So it's very interesting because some books I have for many months with me and it doesn't seem to match up, but somehow I came always back to this book, and the story is very interesting. Will actually had it all, had the dream life, had what many people going for the money, for the power, for representation, one big holiday after another. And then finally he realized, whoa, that's not all. And from that, the light worker in him raised up. So that's a very, very interesting story, because I personally feel that the happiness people looking for is normally not looked up in the soul connection to God, but in the material world. So in especially timings like that, I feel it's very important to talk about that. So it's very beautiful. Welcome, Will.
Thank you so much, Gratty. It's lovely to be here. It's really such a privilege for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Yeah, so please tell us, how did you do your money before, and how was your lifestyle?
Okay. Well, for me, I had a very materialistic lifestyle, very materialistic. Everything. It was a wealthy lifestyle, but it was a very busy. I had a big business that I built up. And I had the big house, I had 130 people working for me, and I've done from scratch really. I had no qualifications, but I built up a big company, and I had a lovely family, a wife, 3 children, the big house, the place in the south of France and everything. And for me, unfortunately, fortunately, because it wouldn't have been my awakening otherwise, but things happened, things changed, and that was removed. We'll just put it there. It was just removed. And that was, around sort of 2010, 2011. Now, I say to people, I am the last person in the world to be doing this. I was never religious. I was never spiritual. Really wasn't on my radar whatsoever, And because the events that happened to me, I got myself quite sick for a while, mentally, physically. And there was a choice to make. You either pull the parachute and get out of here, or you move forward somehow. And luckily I did, because I was in a very, very bad place. So I did start to get myself some help and got into a recovery, and then started to move forward. And it really, I suppose for me, what changed was that in 2013, my father died quite quickly. There was an illness that he hadn't told any of the family about it, so he went within a week. And that was a shock to me. And on the day that he died, I got tinnitus. I got a ringing in my ears, and it was really troubling. I know lots of people around the world have this, but it was just, absolute nightmare. And the job I'd retrained to do involved working in people's houses. So I'd visit people's houses, I'd look at damage to their properties. And on one occasion, I was at this lady's house, and she was in a bit of a rush because she was going to something called Reiki. And I said to her, well, what's Reiki? Because I had no idea. I had no idea about this. And she said, it helps with my tinnitus. So serendipity, So I said, okay, well, look, I'd love to have that number, because I've got this and I need some help. So she gave me the number. I went to this lady, this therapist, Nicola in London, and didn't know what to expect, had no idea, but laid me down the treatment table and I had the treatment. Then afterwards, I didn't realise she was a medium. And she started to tell me about my mother, my father, that they were there, and that she knew about me losing everything, and that it had to happen. It had to happen, apparently, and it had to break me down, whatever. And it was quite emotional, because the information this lady brought through was she would never have known. It's very accurate. She would never have known. So it sparked an interest in, you know, what is there must be more to life than just, you know, leaving school, going to college, you know, getting a job, you know, meeting somebody, getting a flat, settling down, getting kids, getting a big watch, getting a house, getting a holiday, getting a bigger car, all those sorts of three-dimensional, you know, materialistic things, which I'd obviously lived my life by, you know. And so I started to become interested in it. I watched sort of television programs, you know, around mediums. And one day I went to a church, a spiritualist church in my local town. And I just sat in a very small church. I sat there in the audience, and the medium on the platform, you know, pointed me out and said, I have your mum, that direct, you know, that direct, I have your mum. And she described my mum to a T, you know, everything accurately. And she said, your mum's telling me that you had to lose everything, that it's happened for a reason. And there was other information that came through at that time. It's quite vague to me, that particular experience, but I do remember the medium saying to me, she was confused, the medium, she said, your mother's given me a gift in a box. And I was like, I don't know what you mean by that. But so that was that experience. And then so then I started to, as I get busy in my work, in doing this small job that I'm doing, you know, going to people's houses. But it involved sometimes, on 2 occasions actually, in 2015, I was asked to come to Northern Ireland from London to help out because the surveyors over here couldn't cope. One was on holiday, so I came over here. That's when I discovered Northern Ireland, where this has been magical for me here. It really has. So I came here 2 occasions. Thought, wow, I've only ever seen Belfast on television. You know, the troubles and the, you know, the horrors and everything. Didn't realise how beautiful it was, how lovely the people are. So fast forwarding a little bit to sort of 2015, in the autumn, there was a big storm in England, and I was asked to go up and help. So I did. And this is what was interesting, because the company that gives me the work, there's 2 directors, great guys, took us out for a Chinese meal, me and the other surveyors that had driven up there to help out. So I said to one of the directors, how's things in Northern Ireland? And he said, we're desperate. We need somebody over there really, really badly. Now, I had no ties at that time, you know, so I was like, well, maybe I'll have a change. And he said, that would be brilliant. And as soon as I said it, I thought to myself, what am I talking about? I'm not going to go to Northern Ireland. This is just crazy. You know, I'm not going to emigrate. This is mad. But then the next night, I decided randomly to see if there was, I Googled, you know, is there a spiritualist church in that town? And there was a meeting. So I went to the meeting, and it was a much bigger meeting than the one I've been to before in my hometown. So there's about 80 people there, and the medium that was on the stage pointed to me. She said, I'm with the gentleman here with his arms crossed, wearing a pink shirt. And she said, I've got your mum. And I'm like, and she described my mum. There's no way she would have known. It was so random that I went there. Described my mum, and this time there's more information. And my mum said, you had to lose everything, but we're building you back brick by brick. And that you're going to be given a gift, and you'll know what it is when you get it. So I'm thinking, well, is it going to be a lottery ticket or something? You know, I don't know. Something. But what happened was, then she said, and your father's here, and he's holding the steering wheel of a car. Are you going on a journey? And I'm like, wow. My hairs on my neck went up, you know. And then the medium said, and your mum's come back in, her energy's come back in, she's saying, your destiny is staring you in the face, and it's staring you in the face. So I'm like, wow, that must be Northern Ireland. It's got to be Northern Ireland. So I decided I was going to come here, and on February the 14th, it was Valentine's Day 2016, I arrived here. Everything I owned in a car, really, you know, and I had a place which I'd secured, a lovely flat here overlooking the sea, which I loved, always wanted to be by the sea. So, and I didn't know anybody, absolutely nobody. So I'm thinking, well, what can I do? So I thought, well, I'll join a gym. So I joined a gym, got a personal trainer. And then I'm thinking, well, I'd like to find out if there's anything more spiritual over here. I had no idea. So I started to Google, spiritualism, spiritual church, but up come a Reiki course. And this is where it just goes mad, because I thought, well, maybe I'll do the Reiki course. I might meet people. So I went to the Reiki course, not knowing what to expect. But after the first attunement, level 1, when the master invited us to practice on each other, students, immediately my hands fired up. I mean, it was hot. It was real heat that came out my hands. And all the other students noticed it. I'm like, this is mad. I'm really feeling this, And I didn't put my hands on people. I always had my hands above for some reason. I just always naturally did it that way. And it's like, this is wild, And the town that I moved to is called Carrickfergus, which is beautiful. And the people are lovely. And they're very friendly. So they wanted to find out why I was there and what I was doing. And I mentioned that I was doing Reiki as well. And so people started to come to me, and many came to me, and it's like they were all getting results. It was pretty profound. And I'm like, what is going on? And then later that year, I went to the Spiritualist Church in Belfast, and I met my partner, my twin flame, Julianne, who's also a Reiki master, who teaches Reiki, and also from the same master that I went to by coincidence, And she's been an incredible influence for me, because this has happened so quickly, so unexpectedly. I was a bit unnerved by it all, But I also got to know a medium there called Debbie Griffin. She was originally from Germany when she was younger, but she moved here very young. And she's an incredible medium, and she guided me. Julianne, my partner, and I went to, because Julianne was interested in mediumship. I went to a class of her one evening in Belfast, and it was a medium doing an introduction to mediumship, which I didn't know why I was there, but I went there to support my partner. And as soon as we sat down, about 6 people in the room, the medium came in, Keith his name was, from Liverpool, and he looked at me and he said, "You've got amazing trance healing." I don't know what that is. I actually don't know what that is, But then the following Sunday, that would have been on probably a Wednesday, on the following Sunday, somebody in Carrickfergus asked me for Debbie Griffin's number, the medium that I knew, because I knew she was very good. So I didn't have it, but I went to the Sunday service and she was there on the platform. And I walked up to get her number. And as I walked up to the stage, the platform, she said to me straight away, "I've been told I'm going to be working with you and you have trance healing." And I'm like, whoa, this is just mad. This is just mad. And then, so we arranged to meet the following week. She came to my apartment and she showed me how to sit in the power, which people do in circle groups. But to begin with, it was just me and Debbie sitting here every Friday religiously, the same time, just sat, and I got messages from spirit from her, and I got guidance. And it's here actually where I first felt the blending of this spirit energy with me, and it freaked me out, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting it. I really wasn't, and the next day I felt very ungrounded. And I rang Debbie and said, "Look, I don't feel right here." So she gave me some advice around grounding. And again, my partner Julianne was very supportive, and it's just gone from there. And now it's changed. It's not, the mad thing is, I don't feel this as a Reiki kind of thing. It's something different. It's definitely something different. And they fast tracked me through this for some reason. I don't know why, but now I literally feel lasers out of my fingers, and I feel the energy blend with me. These guides blend with me. It's a physical thing. It's a real physical thing. And I'm the kind of guy, if I can't touch it or feel it, then I don't believe it. Mm-hmm. And so that's really condensing my awakening into, you know, a short bit there. But obviously, you know, there was more to it, and it's gone on from there. And I absolutely love it. I'm compelled to heal. I'm compelled to anyone, you know, really. I've been out in bars, you know, and I've seen someone that's in pain, and I just have to help them, you know, if I can, I help them, you know. But it's been incredible. The validation has been incredible.
Since how long are you doing that? Since how many years now?
Well, now, since 2016, you know, and, you know, the old establishment really of the spiritual church, if you like, the SNU, they would say this is too quick, that it takes much, much longer. But I don't know why it hasn't taken that long. It's just happened quickly for me, you know.
Interesting. And also, my question is for you. Now we're living in very interesting times. Are you seeing things in another dimension? Are you seeing what's going on? Are you seeing the war which is going on between good and evil? Are you connected with that, or is that mostly healing for you?
Well, do you know what, Bratty? What I think I got caught up very early days with this, in the anxiety around the conspiracy theories, and I'm sure there is an element of that, you know. But what I've tried to do, because I just don't think I have any control over it anyway, so what I've tried to do is stay positive, and I think it's very important to stay positive and look at the positives. You know, I live right on the sea, and you can see the beach. Now, when I first arrived here, there were things like shopping trolleys and tires and, you know, car type, whatever, in the sea. Now it's beautiful, it's clean, the water's clean. And, you know, last summer in Northern Ireland, we had a family of killer whales here in like the loch for the first time in 20 years. And I see families and people and friends all connecting more now, really appreciating and valuing friendships and connections. A lot more people getting out and enjoying nature, you know, which is really, really good. And would that have happened? I don't know. I mean, there's no planes flying for a whole year. There's no boats polluting the oceans, no cars polluting. So I don't know if it's something that had to happen, because I was told a while back by other mediums that there's going to be an event. There's going to be an event. And maybe this is the event. And maybe this is something that Mother Earth needed, you know, a real, because if you think about it, how else could this have stopped the whole of humanity from polluting the world? What else would it have taken? Do you know what I mean? So I don't know.
I think it has many, many levels, and one level is really what you talk about, because for sure we treated the earth not in the right way. And also what I learned in the last, 20 years or however long I'm in this journey, soul journey, is that there's so much, technology which would not hurt the earth. We would have it all if we really want to. And there are some forces who don't want us to. So it's very interesting. And maybe there's also, not maybe for me, it's really that there are so many going on and so many levels. And it's not over, and it might continue for some time. And I think we all might get also tested on what we choose and what we do. And I think a beautiful side effect is really that the nature can come back. So it's really good.
And the thing is, there's not much we can do about it, because it's there. We can protest and everything, but it's happened. It's happened. And as I say, I look to see, listen, by the way, it's very frustrating being restricted. And as we said earlier, it's terrible that people have lost their livelihoods. And I don't for 1 minute belittle that, and also people have had to, endure loved ones that have passed without being able to see them. And that is terrible. That's awful. It's awful. And there's no placating that. There's nothing I can say that would make that right. However, looking at another side of things, yes, there's been some terrible things happen, but then look at what had to happen in order to heal the planet for a bit, just for a bit. I don't know.
And also what is shown to us. I mean, this times, for sure, it shows already much. And I'm sure that the future times will even show more. So it's a time for people to, if they have eyes to see. And I think that many people wake up to many, many, many things. So I just wanted to ask you that, because there are some souls who feel, I hear from many different ways, you know. I hear that the ways of you think, and I also hear from people who say, yeah, that's why we incarnated, you know, that's that's why we're here right now. And so the question, yeah,
to raise the vibration, exactly, to
yes.
raise the vibration, to counter this, you know.
Yes.
And the earth is, you know, she's evolving, you know. Gaia is evolving, you know. It's going to the fourth dimension. Time is going so much quicker now, you know. You look how it takes to go from a Sunday to a Sunday.
Yes.
So quick. And you know, human race doesn't realize we can manifest some beautiful things if we, you know, we raise our consciousness to do that, you know, and try to avoid the negativity. This is the thing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. And not just avoid. I mean, personally, I feel it's important to see it and then not to completely down to it, and try and learn how to create another reality in that. Because I think we have really two choices right now. Either way, we go in a way where we are completely nanobots and completely slaved for forever, or we go into freedom, or some souls go here and some souls go there. So it's a big thing. And to be with nature is one part. So I mean, that is the highest healing, is to be with nature, right?
But there will be, you're absolutely right, there's going to be separation, there's going to be divide. There's going to be those that are going to be stuck in the 3D dimension, and those that move forward in a higher vibration, you know. And unfortunately, you know, I'm not alone, I'm sure, but you know, you lose contact with sometimes family, sometimes, you know, friends, certain friends on this path, because they're just not gonna get it. They're just not gonna get it, you know. So that's a sacrifice. But when you know the truth about life, when you know the truth that there is a spirit realm, that we are, you know, we're spiritual beings having a physical experience. When you know that truth, you can't go back.
No.
You do go back and pretend that's not real, because you can't.
Right.
So anyone that doesn't get that, there's going to be a separation, as you say. There's going to be a divide, you know.
And it's so interesting for me, you know, as you said, yeah, people cannot see the energy, but you feel it almost physically, like the Reiki energy, the energy. And that is so interesting, because people don't see, for example, internet, right? So they don't see the internet, but they don't doubt it. They're using it every day. There's the VLAN, you know, and they're using it, but they don't question it. But once you talk about energy on a soul level, they're like, oh no, that's all crazy. I mean, that doesn't make any sense, right?
You know, I say to people who don't believe in the afterlife, well, who do you know that died and come back and said there's nothing in? Mm-hmm. So we accept now that we have a consciousness. We accept we're a consciousness. That's accepted, you know. So why is it such a big leap to go, well, we're spiritual beings and that we're eternal? You know, why is it? It's absolutely miraculous that we're here once. So why is it not just as miraculous that you could be here twice? Do you know what I mean? Like reincarnation, you know. And this is a tough school down here. This is a tough school, my belief, my personal. Anyway, and you come back and you have to learn karmic lessons, and you know, and so. But when you get that, which I you know, I never thought in my lifetime that I would be doing this. I never thought that for 1 minute, you know. But I've seen some incredible things which just defy the medical profession. I'm sorry, but it does. You know, the things that I've witnessed. So for me, it's just very, very real. And the energy, the beings that blend with me, and are very, very real. You know, just incredible. I think of them as personalities. I don't see them. I don't pretend to see these people, but there's certain different feelings and intensities that I feel. So I know there may be a change, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's amazing.
What was the strongest energy or experience you had with healing?
There was, well, I say strong experience. That's in terms of, I've seen things where, for example, there's been a physical change. So I had a gentleman come to me. In fact, I saw him in a bar. I saw him in a bar, in a local bar. He was really sore. He was sat on a stool. He could hardly move. He was wincing in pain. And I didn't really know him that well anyway. I've seen him and I've said hello to him, but I just said to him, I can help you. And he said, well, I've got sciatica. It's absolutely killing me. And I said, well, if you want to come and see me tomorrow night, there's my address. You can come and see me. So, and I was thinking that night, I haven't got his number. So I don't know if he's even going to turn up, you know, but he did, absolutely on the time he turned up. And he came in, I had the table set out, and he was in that much pain. He really wasn't for conversation. He just said to me, as soon as he got to the door, he said to me, you just have to help me. You just have to help me. I'm in so much pain. So I got him on the bed, and I put background music on, and I work, as I say, I don't touch at all. So I work around the cranial area, you know, that's my way. I think that spirit sedate people. And then I started to move my hands down to his hip and on his leg. And he started to wince. His eyes were, you know, he's contorting, and he's contorting his legs. So I thought, I'll come back up to the top part of the body, and I was around the throat chakra and the heart chakra. And then I went back down to the same area around the hip and the leg. And again, he contorted and winced, and then it stopped. And at the end of it, I tried to wake him up gently. He's very careful to wake somebody. I always say to him, I'll just give you a gentle touch on the shoulder. But he didn't come round. Had to do it several times to bring him back. And he opened his eyes, and he didn't know where he was. He was looking around, where am I, you know? And I said, you okay? I said, how do you feel? And then he realised where he was. He got up on the bed, and he stood up. I said, how do you feel? We went, wow, it's gone. It's gone. And he was in tears. And he said to me, thank you so much. No one's ever done anything for me. And he told me, which is personal, I won't say this, but he told me some personal things about his background and why there'd been a lot of upset in his life and everything else. But, you know, and that was, for me, I call that a manipulation, because that's not possible, you know. And I've had guys come to me and ladies come to me with arthritis. Now, arthritis is apparently incurable. All you can do is manage the pain. But I know a guy who's actually done a testimony for me, who had rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis in both knees, needed 2 knees. To this day, and this was I saw him in 2017. To this day, still hasn't had any operations. He's not in any pain. He's gone. There's others that I've seen. Now, I don't, by the way, I have to say this, I don't take credit for this. This is not me doing this. This is the spirit team that take credit for that. I am just a conduit, just a medium that they can use. But what they can do with energy is incredible. They can change the molecular structure of the cement that causes arthritis. You know, now someone has to be open to have that. This is not pseudo, this is not faith healing, but someone has to be open to receiving healing, because everyone has free will, you know. And so you can't make someone come and have a healing and expect it to work that well. There's always a healing. And my experience is that a lot of it will begin with an emotional healing to begin with, first of all, because a lot of our illnesses and sickness and disease is caused by, well, disease is upset, you know. A lot of the arthritic patients that I've seen have had some upset in their past, you know, whether it's loss of loved ones, there's a trauma or prolonged periods of stress or anxiety. And the reason that happens is because we have a pituitary gland, which is a small pea-like gland at the base of our brain, and that controls the hormones in our body. and also controls the cells in our body. So our cells have intelligent jobs, such as the ones for our organs and our eyes and our heart, liver, kidneys. But then there's cells that don't have such intelligent jobs, such as our skin. Now, if you're under prolonged periods of stress or anxiety or depression, or you suffer a trauma, then that gland can get knocked out. And that computer control center can then cause cells to go rogue. You know? And that's where we get disease, arthritis, and cancers and things like that. So that's been an interesting learning for me in the years I've been doing this, that I've seen so many times that there has been a fundamental, you know, an upset around somebody that has also healed. So long, as well as the physical, that upset has also had to be resolved and healed as well, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. And I think also what I realize in this world, there's not much time for healing, you know, for many people. So many people just rush through their life. And I think once you have a trauma, it's important to take care of that and to take yourself into nature or through your body under the tree and hug a tree or whatever, do whatever it takes to get the healing. And I think it takes a lot of time for people, you know, to really connect to themselves, because I believe somehow we have that power in us to connect directly to God. And what I find interesting, what you said, is that you did this healings in a church, because what I hear a lot recently is that people are afraid that many of the powers for healing comes only from the negative realm. So there are negative energies for sure you can access for healing. Like, I mean, there are powerful healers who work with negative entities, even sometimes without knowing it. But for sure, there's the God miracle as well. So your Reiki was happening in a church. Can you tell more about that? I mean, what church is that, and why is there a stage? I mean, that is very interesting. I mean, most churches are very closed down, right?
Okay, yeah. Well, I didn't do any healing with the church. I didn't train with the church, and I have to say, I'm non-religious. I don't go to church. The spiritualist church, inverted commas, is just a gathering. It's probably going to be a small community hall, you know. Oh. Now, they do have a God sort of, you know, attachment there. It doesn't sit well with me. I don't necessarily have that, and I'm going to say that from the outset. You know, I do believe there is a spirit realm. I do believe there must be a God energy somewhere, you know, but I don't so much buy into the Bible story, you know, really, to be honest with you. For me, I'm more experiential. As I say, if I don't feel it, touch it, then I don't believe it, you know. So I haven't really done any healings with or involved with a church. It's more been of my own kind of development, really. It's just happened.
That's amazing. So interesting. I mean, what did you work before? I mean, I don't know that. So before, in your first life, when you made all that money, everything, I mean, what was your...
Well, I started out very humble as a building labourer, you know, so I worked...
What, please, excuse me?
Do you know building houses, bricks?
Okay.
I used to carry bricks, you know, for the bricklayers. Okay. And I trained as a bricklayer, so I could build walls and houses, and then I was so set on success. I was so driven to become successful that by the time I was 27, I had about 108 bricklayers working for me.
Whoa!
And
it went a lot.
I know, but then it went on from there, and then I become involved in building maintenance. So I used to look after banks, big retail shops, you know, shopping centres, loads of places. And I had I had 130 people working for me, and then I bought business and developed that, and that's where it was really. But
And then what happened? I mean, why that crashed? I mean, that sounds so perfect, like this business. I mean, you never stop building. I mean, look around. Everybody's building something, you know. So what happened?
Well, there was an element of the financial crisis, really, that that was hanging over. You know, banks were still not lending around the time this all happened, and also some bad decisions. You know, and I think I had a detachment, unfortunately. You know, which it drove me to a place where I wasn't able to be there enough for my family, you know, which I regret. And then obviously, you know, that eventually was unsustainable. So, you know, that broke down, you know, and so then, you know, on top of the fact that the business was really struggling, you know, and in the end, I had to just part company with the business. I had to just the last bit of it, I'd actually just gave it to a bigger organisation. That it merged with them. But it had to happen, you know, it had to happen. It was.
Sorry, please continue.
I just remember at the peak of it, at the height of it all, actually not feeling that fulfilled. I didn't feel there was something missing. There was always something wrong. Even though I had all that, it just didn't feel, I just wasn't happy, you know. But I did not expect this to happen. I did not. Now I am the happiest I've ever been. I have an amazing life. I have a wonderful partner, who's my twin flame, Julianne. We live in a beautiful place. We have exactly the same outlook on life. You know, we both do our healing. She does her Reiki courses as well, and we just love life really now. You know, I had a big lesson. I woke up.
It's great. And you know, all the people from the other lifetime, let's say like that, in this lifetime, I mean, they know you as a businessman, and you had all the people. I mean, what are they saying? I mean, you know, is there still some contact, and they're like, oh my gosh, he's writing a book about being a light worker, and
look, I changed my name 3 times. So I don't know if it's the same in Germany, but William, the name William, do you call it Wilhelm? Do you call it?
Yes.
Well, William in England, well, it's William, of course, but there's also an abbreviation called Bill, B-I-L-L, sorry. Yeah. And when I was young, I had a tough time at school. You know, I left school at 16 with nothing. I had a lot of bullying that went on, which I described in the book. And I think that was a driver to what made me, why I was so in pursuit of success. It was an ego thing, you know?
I wanted to be somebody, to get, you know, yes.
So I changed my name to Bill when I left school. But then when everything happened, I ended up coming here, you know, just before I came here, actually, I changed my name to Will. You know, when I started to I didn't like the label, the name Bill. It was attached to the dark side of my life, and I just wanted to stop. You know, and the thing is, Bratty, you know, you can't change the past. You can't change the past. Everything that happened yesterday, you can't change. Yeah. Let alone going back over the years. So there's no point dwelling on that. You know, there really isn't. You know, so the only thing you can change is your future and looking forward. And when you master that, when you start to look at that and get complete, and for a lot of people it's difficult. And I would say for anyone that, you know, that's going to embark on Reiki or healing of any kind, you have to be prepared, because it's a really tough road. Mm-hmm. It is, because you will face clearings, okay, which is things from your past which come up that have to be cleared, and it's not pleasant, to be honest with you, you know, and it takes a lot of dedication as well to do this, to any kind of healing, Reiki, but particularly to move on from there. If you want to, you know, if you want to develop mediumship of any form, then you have to be dedicated, and it really is a weekly. It's a daily dedication, in fact, to yourself, because you need to sit in the power every day. But then you need to sit in circle, you know, at least once a week, really, and it can take years.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. I remember my first Reiki initiation. I think I was, I don't know, 17. At the time, nobody knew what it was, and maybe people thought it's a yogurt, something to eat. Reiki, nobody knew. Now everybody knows. And I changed my teacher 2 times because my first teacher told me, oh yeah, it comes from the monk tradition, and then after you get initiated, you have to get to purification for 21 days. And then I went into her living room and she's eating meat and drinking and smoking. I had, no, I don't think that's my teacher, Then I went to another teacher, and actually with the third teacher, I felt that is a really clear channel. Before it was really strange channel. And I also didn't went to the real purification thing. But after the third teacher, that I remember that was very intense. The first 21 days. So did you also experience that after you initiated? Or you also, and who was your teacher,
Well, my teacher was, for Reiki, it was Paul Divini, who is an amazing guy in Belfast. And Julianne, my partner, went to the same guy. It was unbelievable, So I think the answer to your question is after each level of Reiki, level 1, level 2 and 3, I went through periods of anxiety or depression or upset, which was clearing out. And by the way, this still happens. Still things come up. There's still regrets, that around that it has to come up to be released. Has to be released. So you mentioned about being a clear channel. That's something which is ongoing. It's ongoing. It's not going to be over. You're always moving forward and clearing negativity. And it has to happen. And as you say, to become a clear channel for healing, it's important. And also to be able to empathize with the people that you're healing. It's important to understand those emotions and how for them it's affected them, and how it's important for them to be able to release it. So you as a healer, you assist that. And sometimes, there's not always a healing that's going to take place. I have had to understand that sometimes a healer goes there to assist somebody to cross over. Okay. So, and that was difficult for me in the beginning to understand that, well, healing. So how comes it's not going to be an improvement? Because everything had been so fast paced up to then. But I can remember one particular client that I went to see. I was asked by my partner, Julianne, who worked in a hospital, her husband had been admitted and he had brain tumours. Now, this gentleman had actually healed himself from cancer 3 years before by using holistic remedies. And so he was dead against any kind of medical intervention. So he was going real cold turkey, full out on this, And I went there, I went to the hospital room, and he was laying on the bed and holding his head. And I'm like, well, I'm going to just try and help you. And he wanted me to be there. So I did the healing there, couldn't have music there. So it was just literally around the bed, and my face and body were just on fire. It was really, really hot for some reason. But I left there and I didn't know what to expect. But 2 days later, he discharged himself from hospital. He went home. Now, I was quite shocked at that. So I went to see him the following Sunday at his home. And I did a healing with him then. I did healings with him for a further 8 weeks. Now, during that period, that dying process was suspended. That's what I saw. It was suspended. And he was very close to death at the time I saw him, in the hospital. But it was suspended. And there was even a time when I went to see him, and there was a European Football Cup being played, match. And he'd been out putting flags in his garden, and he was talking to me. He wasn't any pain, he was still a bit frail and unstable, but he was in good form, and he was saying to me he's planning on going on holiday with his family. But anyway, there was the last occasion that I saw him, we did the healing, and when he was on the bed, he started to cry. And afterwards, I asked him, what was happening, and he said he saw his father, and there was an upset with his father, and that he hadn't forgiven him, but he needs to forgive him, and and so that was, to me, that was a life review. That was to assist someone to cross over, to give the whole family time to come to terms. He had young children, and to give the family time to come to terms with that, and for him to cross in a peaceful way. So, that's a very important part of healing, transition, what you might call a life review. And actually, he wrote me a letter. I didn't know this, but he wrote me a letter before he died, and his wife sent it to me. I have it on the wall, actually, framed. It was lovely, really lovely, what he said, and how he acknowledged the healing had helped him. But sometimes that's the way it is,
Yes, absolutely. I remember one healing many years ago, similar like that, a woman with cancer, and there are a lot of mantras you can do to help, but this was too late. They already made so many operations, only 40 kgs. She had 2 small kids. My heart was breaking for her, right? But she had so much fear of dying, which I could not understand because I had out of body experiences, and I was like, just let go. It's great. don't be afraid. But she's like, no. And then we worked together, and I told her, when you go, you will see some angels and they will help you. And then she actually went crossed over, and her husband called me after that her last words were, oh, Bharati was right, they are angels. And she had no fear, yeah. And for me, that was a very big healing, because I think we're working, how somebody is crossing over is important, that you don't die with terror or fear, that is a very good thing.
Absolutely. It's so important. It's a really important part of healing, but yeah, I mean, that experience, showed me that, as I say, you always expect there to be a profound healing. I've seen profound healings. I've witnessed that, and it's just been remarkable. But there's also a very important part of transition work, which all healers, have to understand.
So when you wrote the book, Rise of a Lightworker, many people understand many different things on Lightworker. I mean, there are people who understand that you go into a light body. What is your understanding of being a Lightworker?
Okay, my understanding of Lightworker is anyone who is there that raises the vibration, that has time for people, that's an empath. Yes, there's healers, but it could be anybody that you see day to day who is just lovely to talk to. It could be someone that you can go and speak with, that you can share your burdens of your, relationships or whatever's going on in your work. But for Lightworkers is a big, is a big encompassing, I think, phrase to use for people, not just healers or mediums, but for everybody that has that awareness, that consciousness around that, we are all connected. We're all looking. But yeah, I mean, I've been working on that book it didn't take me too long, to be honest with you, but the title came to me quite quickly. But so yeah, for Lightworkers, for me, that's, as I say, that's someone I think just has the ability to be able to raise people's vibration, and care and be an empath.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, and being an empath, I mean, it's not what the society actually is asking for. I personally feel, I personally feel that most of the narcissists and most of the even psychopaths have much more power, and the empaths are the stupid ones who just empathic and love everybody. So how are you seeing that? Because I feel like, whoa, this is not the world I want to live in, but it's mostly like this, especially in the business world. So when you see your life now, before and now, are you seeing also that there were many narcissists and stuff, and that you have different souls in your life now than before?
100%. And there's some that I've retained relationships with, and there's some groups which I haven't, for that reason, because you know, they're stuck in the materialistic world. Psychopaths, I'm not so sure I really met many of those, although probably at some point they were there. But, you know, I now focus more. I don't worry too much about what goes on around others. I surround myself with good people. And I try, do you know what? I don't watch the news. I don't watch the news. And that's not something I actively set out to do. I just don't have an interest in it.
No, I don't mean that you watch the news and see narcissists there. I mean, I think you were in a very different life setting where you have to, you know, work. And I feel in this normal work life, the people get more success who have some narcissistics, you know, or manipulative, or even, I don't know.
A lot of it will be around ego. A lot of it's from their past. As I say, you know, we talk about the 3D life where, you know, you leave school and you have you always have peer pressure from
Right.
people, always competing. And so, yeah, that's where a lot of that comes from, you know. But yes, I mean, I would agree with you. There's lots of people out there like that, but I just try to distance myself from that now, you know, and just stay around the light bringers.
That's beautiful. So where do you see the world in 5 years? What is your vision of the world?
I don't know. Wow, the world in 5 years, I can't really imagine that way. I don't dwell on it too much. I'd like to think that we've learned lessons from this time. As I say, you know, lessons that we appreciate the planet more, nature, we appreciate relationships and each other more, less need to pollute the world. You know, we're learning now that there's going to be the ability to actually go green on lots of things. But I'd hope there'd be more compassion. Hope there'd be more compassion with everybody. You know, that's what I'd hope.
Oh, that's beautiful. I like that. I also hope that. I hope that the empaths can rule the world sometime.
Yeah, well, we can, but we have to keep a healthy distance. You see, with an empath, you have to be concerned around not taking on other people's energies. You know, you have to be aware of that. So this is why I say I don't watch the news, you know, and I stay away from situations which look volatile. You know, you just stay away from that. So, and then of course you can help people who need your help.
Right.
You know,
absolutely. That's so true. That's so true. Yes. Yes. And also I think, I don't know how you see it, but I think, you know, working with the Reiki symbols, I mean, for me, it's a long time ago because then I started doing the work with the mantras. But I remember there was a time, I don't know if you also know that, where I was driving on the Autobahn and just blessing everybody, just like asking permission. Oh, I just want to send healing to everybody, and just did all the, you know, I don't know, energy work with that. Are you doing that too?
well, I do a lot of distance healing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very powerful. It really is. So I sit every day, and you know, I've asked for situations to be healed. You know, sometimes there'll be a tragedy around the world, or I'll see a particular person that's in trouble and I ask for assistance there. I get quite a lot of healing requests. There's a gentleman in India that is regularly, I think he's from a medical background. I've never spoken to him, but he's contacted me, and he comes through quite a bit. And I send distance healing requests for him and the people he wants to heal. So I think, you know, you ask me about what may happen in the future. Maybe distance healing will become quite more prominent. You know, I had thought about doing Zoom healings, but for me, I'm not attracted to that. Mm. I know it's very powerful, but the process of sitting as we are now and doing the healing, I like to be more hands-on, you know, and feel, yeah. But maybe, you know, there may be more distance, definitely more people are going to awaken. There's no doubt about that. You know, I've got sons that are awakening, and there's no doubt about it. You know, one's in Australia and one's in England, and they are definitely awakening. You know, so that's exciting because if they are, then their friends are, and these are young people. These young people are becoming more and more aware of the group consciousness, of a vibration, and it's lovely to see. It really is. If you couldn't have spoken to your grandparents about the law of attraction, for example, they wouldn't have understood. Mm-hmm. But manifesting positive outcomes is something that we can do as light workers. Right. But you wouldn't have had that conversation with your well, I wouldn't have my grandparents. They wouldn't have understood. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. That's true. I think also personally, I think both is rising. The negativity is rising and the positive energy is rising. And so for me, it's very interesting. One, how humanity will choose, as a collective. I think that is also important on which way we really go. And I really feel it's not really decided yet 100%, because both energies are rising, and it's a choice we have to make and we can make. And everybody who's in that has a part in it. And that is really important that we know that. I think that every soul knows that, and we know in our heart what is right and what is wrong. We know, no matter if somebody tells us it's not, or if we gaslight it or whatever is going on, in our soul, in our heart, we know. And I think, when we can connect to that, there could be a ripple effect. I love this movie. I don't know if you know that movie, Pay It Forward.
Pay It Forward, I've heard of it. Yeah, I think I've seen it once. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. I love that. There's a boy who has this vision. I could change the world, which I think personally it takes a lot of more people to do that. But anyhow, in his innocence, he has that idea, right? Actually, it comes from a teacher who is saying, if one person does something and then 3 more people are doing things and then 5 more people are doing things, and then we can build a ripple effect. And anyhow, it's a really, at the end, it's a very sad story too. It shows the negativity as well, but it shows the good is and what is staying, in the hearts of the people. It's so beautiful, and this is my hope, that as a humanity we do some beautiful ripple effects here. And hi hack the matrix.
That is what you're doing so well with your platform. That's why it's so incredible, important work that you're doing. And there's others that are awakening, all parts of the collective consciousness. It's all happening. We have to put our faith in the process.
Yes. I really loved what you said with the nature, because it's really, really true, how all the animals come back, and how, that can, you said you have whales in your...
There was a pod of killer whales that came to Northern Ireland. Haven't been there for like 20 years, and they came because it's got beautiful lochs and lakes here, a bit like the fjords. The fjords you have in Norway. So so you can come from the sea. So they swam into the up the estuary. It's amazing. I didn't see it. I've seen it on YouTube. It was on there. But
how big are those? How big are those animals?
What, killer whales?
Yes.
Quite big. Yeah.
Quite big.
Well, parents would have been big. I think there was a baby as well. But yeah. But see things like that. And I've seen, the sea has cleared up around here. The air. I mean, look at the skies. And we have beautiful skies in Northern Ireland. There's a lot of rain. That's why it's very green. But there's also been some clear skies. And, I'd like to think that there has been some benefits out of it. I don't know. You can get yourself so, caught up in conspiracies. And yes, there probably are some there. But I think to myself, well, what's the point of me doing that? Because I've got no control over it. I just take life every day as it comes. Wake up, very grateful to be here. This is an amazing adventure. I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience, and I'm just going to enjoy it. And, to have the ability to help others is just amazing. And that's what I'm committed to,
Beautiful. And even with a conspiracy, we can do some alchemy, when you get stuff, and, I mean, maybe we cannot change it, but maybe we can at least give some thought on it and try it,
send a distance healing, you know, meditate, send your positive thoughts out for those situations to be corrected. I mean, that's something you could do as a collective conscious, definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we should not underestimate that energy if we would do it as a collective. I think sometimes if enough people would be really fed up in their heart and would say, no, we want a different earth and life, it really could happen. I think that many humans are underestimated, you know, not as a single person, but that we as humans are you know, that's another side, you know. Now they take the connection away, you know, as you said, you cannot touch the people. I also can do healings much better when I touch them, and you know, but imagine if we could all really feel our hearts, you know, and really you know, connect, you know, and what we really could change. I don't think if it's this generation who can pull this off. I think it might take some more generations, but I think it's really possible. Yeah.
Well, the medical profession are now waking up to the fact that healing is like Reiki in England. There's hospital trusts that actually have Reiki practitioners working there. So, and it's positions which are paid positions for it. So there's a recognition. There's a recognition around what they call alternative therapies. And if that's the first start of this, then that's great. But, you know, so it is changing. The attitude's changing.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I would love to see that you have a Reiki certificate, that you, instead of having a vaccination, you know, a green pass, you have a Reiki pass. Can I show you a Reiki pass? Okay, then you can only go on the flight. That would be really cool.
Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, lovely thought. And yeah, so it was beautiful to talk to you.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I've really thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been lovely.
Thank
you. I wish you all the success in what you're doing, because it's amazing. So you keep on. And thank you so much. And thank you so much for reading my book. That's a real humbling thing for me.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry it was laying around so long, but finally I had the time to read it.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you too. And thank you for all the work you do and sending the love, and you know, sending the love to the animals and being positive. And so I think every positive vibration can change something in this universe.
It does. And that's how you have to stay. Definitely. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.